Assignment 7 is the linear average calculator. Obviously, yay, another calculator. This will be the last calculator that you will have to do. I assume that some of you are probably fairly excited for that. The calculator assignments are a play on a theme. Personally, I find them a nice way to introduce people to beginning Java, because everything that we've done up to this point, a simple dollar store calculator can accomplish as well. So that being said, this time your objective is to prompt the user for values and collect them into an array list. And you must use an array list, keep that in mind, that can be used later in order to determine the linear average of the values the user provided. Remember that the user may not provide the same number of values twice, so your program should stop collecting values once the user enters 0 as an input. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to create an array list that will be used to store your values. Don't forget to import the array list class and use the proper wrapper class so that the user can enter decimal numbers. I talked about that earlier. Using a while loop, repeatedly prompt the user for input, telling them to enter a number that they want to include in their average, or to enter 0 to calculate the average with the numbers that they've already entered. Add each number they enter other than 0 to the array list you created before. Now, one thing that I'd like to mention that we did talk about briefly during one of the repetition classes, one thing that will help you here is break. Don't forget about break in loops. If you use an if statement to check to see if the user entered 0, then you can just immediately break out of the loop and you won't end up saving that 0. When the user enters 0, it should not end up in your array list, because that will affect their average. And it will be very obvious to me if the 0 ends up being averaged in, because the number that I expect to get will be significantly lower than what it actually is. I mean, will be significantly higher than what it actually is, I should say, depending on the number of numbers that I use. It will depend. Once the user has entered 0, use a for loop to iterate, that is, count through your array list, adding up all the values into a single variable. You should then divide by the size of your array list to finish the averaging process, and then present the user with their result in the following format. The linear average of the values you entered is number, where number is whatever the result of the linear average is. That should be fairly obvious to you guys right now. I like to see things well formatted in the console. I like to see proper spelling and things looking nice when it comes out. And of course, at the end of your program, print your signature block. You should all be fairly used to this by now. You may choose to change your quote if you like. Like I said in the last class's assignment video, I do like it when you guys change your quotes. It's fun for me to see what you put. But it won't have any effect on your grade one way or the other if you change it or not from the previous assignments, or if you reuse one. I don't care, to be completely honest. But I do like seeing them when you change them. It is interesting to me to see what you pick. So that being said, still haven't figured out what I'm going to do in terms of scoring. I haven't put any thought to it. Like I recorded class 6's videos earlier this morning, and now it's almost noon, and I'm just finishing up class 7. So I'm gonna take a break for a couple hours here, do a little bit more work on the curriculum, and probably hash out another class so I can record it this afternoon along with another one, and then hopefully tonight I'll have some time to really sit down and think how I want to handle that whole process. And maybe I'll make an announcement sooner rather than later, maybe sometime this week, as to what I'm going to do about that.